As you may or may not know, there is currently an early test play event for Shadowverse Worlds Beyond going on in Japan as of me recording this online, and as a Shadowverse content creator who's been starving for new things to talk about for over half a year now, you can bet I'm gonna milk this one for all it's worth. So today, since I can't afford to actually travel to and participate in the event, I've picked out a few of the new cards that I personally found interesting or funny instead. I'll link the full list in the description if you want to look through it yourself, and I also streamed myself looking through them if you're interested in that. So first, let's talk neutral cards. Here's the new Bellringer Angel, who actually has a name this time. She's pretty much a straight upgrade of the original classic Bellringer Angel, which you'll find to be something of a recurring theme in this video. This time she draws another card when she's evolved, so she's just better draw source than she used to be, I guess. Probably gonna be a card that you at least consider for most decks you're building when the game comes out, I think. Next is Olivia, a rare example of a card that isn't a strict upgrade of an existing card. She's now a 7 cost follower with a fanfare that heals and draws 2 while recovering 2 play points as well. And on Super Evolve, she also lets you Super Evolve another allied follower. You can play another follower with the 2 play points she refunds, or just evolve a follower already on the board if you have one. What I find interesting about her is that since she costs 7, the player going second can play her as soon as Super Evolving becomes available on turn 6 by using the extra PP, which I think seems like a pretty strong play. Let's move on to Dragon cards next. First, let's look at my personal favorite card of this new batch of cards, not because I like it as a card, but really just because I find it kind of funny. So here's Genesis Dragon Reborn, or Genesis Dragon Worlds Beyond as I like to call it. It's quite literally just a sequel to the original Genesis Dragon where they just slapped +2/+1 on it and called it a day. And not only is this peak card design, it's also unironically strong as a big storm damage finisher as well. Very fun card all around, I think. Next here's Dragonsign. In a very rare case, this is one of the few, if not only, cards that is actually a nerfed version of a Shadowverse classic. As you can see here, they've sort of taken Dragon Oracle out into an alley and shot it in the kneecaps. They've increased its cost to 3 and also locked the draw behind 10 max PP instead of the overflow condition it used to be. And to be fair, Oracle was kind of broken in its original state, so it's not too surprising that they'd actually nerf it. But honestly, I didn't expect it to be this much, and a moment of silence for all our Dragon mains out there. Let's move on to Abyss, which they say is supposed to be a combination of Blood and Shadow, but actually it's just Shadow. This one is quite a few interesting ones, so let's get right into it with Shadowcrypt Memorial. Aside from being a solid card from what I can tell, there's quite a few points of note here. First, they've reworded how gaining shadows works, and there seems to be some kind of symmetry that they exist in. I think it probably still works the same and it won't really change how the system works. Next is a new keyword, Engage. To put it simply, it's just an activated effect attached to the amulet that you can use during your turn by pressing a button. It has some new room for them to design cards with, so I'd say it's pretty good. As an aside, the ghosts that this card summons are still mostly the same, but with a newly added trait, Departed. The trait will also be attached to this game's version of the skeleton token. Speaking of which, those cost 0 now. This is very obviously a strict upgrade from the 1 cost skeletons we're used to. But it's also especially strong in this deck because of the synergy this reduced cost has with this card's poster legendary. So here's World Beyond's first iteration of Cerberus. As you can see, she retains the main characteristic of summoning Mimi and Coco in this version too. The new Mimi and Coco tokens are the same as the previous ones, just with Rush tacked on now, which is quite strong. What I want to talk about here though is that her Super Evolve effect is to perform Reanimate 1 twice. This is obviously meant to summon more copies of either Mimi or Coco depending on which one you need more, and thanks to skeletons being discounted to 0, they no longer interfere with her Reanimate pool. Also, Reanimate now tags on the Departed trait onto anything it summons, so that's nice as well. Anyway, I just thought this was an interesting bit of card design and shows how Abyss retains Shadow's tendency to be a little more mechanically synergistic in various ways compared to other classes. Rounding off our look at Abyss cards, here's Devious Lesser Mummy. Longer time Shadowverse players might find this card a bit familiar, and for a good reason. That's right, in the sequel to Shadowverse featuring stronger versions of old cards, weaker versions of some others, and flashy new keywords and effects, they literally printed the exact same card again. This is actually just Lesser Mummy, like it's the exact same besides the name. Absolutely hilarious 10 out of 10 card design. Finally, let's look at Portal. There's really only one card I want to look at here though, which is Mecha Cavalier. I mean, just look at this guy. He's a fairly beefy guy being a 4/4 with Ward. But on Evolve he summons another copy of himself, and on Super Evolve he summons 2 instead. And if at least one of them survives, you can just do this again. This card is the pinnacle of Ooga Booga Caveman Brain Summon many stats on board, and I love it. Honestly, seems like a pretty solid stats for the cost and should make the game at least a bit more miserable for your opponent. It's not really what you expect out of a super rarity card. Anyway, that's it for today. I only briefly looked at a few cards today to keep this video short, since the shorter ones seem to do better and are probably more watchable as well. If you're interested in the game, I strongly recommend you check out the full list yourself, and hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time. Bye bye.